Hello, Matt here, and I'm not actually going to talk about Square 1 today. I'm going to talk about clock. I don't like clock, I'm not a clock solver, but I messed around with it a while ago, come up with some ideas for an advanced method, try to suggest those to some clock solvers. Got a little bit of feedback, but no one actually ran with the idea, so I'm making a video trying to explain the ideas, and there'll be an average of 5 at the end where I try to implement this idea. So yeah, first of all, clock is a rubbish event and I don't really like it. But if you are a clock solver, then well, the clock method hasn't really changed anytime recently. You do the same sort of pin order, you just match everything up. You know, you do the cross on one side, you flip it over, do the cross on the other side, do the corners, and then that's it. And I think there's some tricks as well. I don't really know them, I'm not familiar with those at all, but even then things haven't really changed much. So if you're going to solve clock, and since it's a rubbish event, we might as well try and do something a little bit more interesting and difficult and cool. So first of all, address the fact that you solve it, solve the cross on one side, flip it over, and then solve the other side. Well, in theory you could save time by not ever flipping it over. So you could sort of memorise how to do the cross on one side, and then you don't have to flip it over, you can just do it from the back. Well, in theory it would save a little bit of time, but it's not great. So can we do better? Well, yes. I noticed that people change the pins more often than they have to. So I've not counted the exact number because I'm lazy. Basically, you use all the pin changes for solving the face after you've flipped, and then you have some pin changes before that for the cross on the first face. So that's pin changes for one side plus however many you did before that for the cross. So I decided to figure out if you could solve all the cross on the back just by turning on the down pins while solving all the stuff on the front, and it turns out you can. So you can just use the pin changes for solving one face of a clock and solve all the cross on the back essentially for free in terms of pin changes, and then you don't have to flip either. So that has some potential. See, I gave that idea to a couple of people. Ryan Jones came back with some feedback. The way it was implemented, there was more turns than necessary on bottom cogs, so that one or that one, I can't quite remember. I'm told that this is a bad thing, I don't really know. Like I said, I am not a clock solver. So I went back and I changed it a little, and now there's only 2 turns on bottom cogs in total throughout the entire solve, and that is the minimum possible. You can maybe get it lower if you use some sort of Z or Z prime rotations, but I'm not going to go into that because that comes under the category of advanced clock tricks and I don't care. So I'll go through the exact method you need to do for memorising and solving the back cross. First of all, I'm going to go through an example just for the front face, because you need to know a certain order for doing the corners in, for reference at least. You can maybe change them around a little once this method has been thought out a little more. And also because the front pin order is slightly different, by just how that worked out to minimise turns on the bottom cogs. So it's fairly similar. So Bottom left pin up, other pins down, match middle to top. Down the pin change, top right up, match those. Top left pin up. Instead of matching to the right pin, the right clock, which I think is usual, you match the bottom one instead. Left pins up, finish cross, and then do the corners in the order top right, bottom left, top left. Although actually you can move around this bottom left clock to any position in there without affecting anything. So sometimes I do top right, bottom right, top left. I think I did that order in my average of 5 that I'll show at the end of this video. But these other 3 clocks have to be done in a certain order. So do that, and so fairly straightforward. And I'd already solved the cross on the back, that was just an example. So I have a sort of reference sheet for how that went. Hopefully you can see that okay, you can take notes. I made a slight mistake in that diagram there. That line at the top left shouldn't be there. So just going through the pins and what pieces get matched up, and then eventually ending with all the pieces matched and at the 12 o'clock position at the end, obviously. And you'll see I have some things written down here: M5, M1, M2, M3 and M4. Those are numbers that you memorise, and I'm going to talk through those just now. So cross on the back, as you look at it, goes something like this. So we have 4 clocks, which are labelled U, D, L, R and M. 5 numbers you have to memorise, and the way I do some of that is I calculate 2 other numbers to start with, which I call A and B. Sort of take a note of this somewhere. I might put it in the description, I'm not sure. I probably will. So I'm not going to keep showing this as I'm going through an example solve, so take note of that to refer to. So I wrote down a scramble here, bear with me one moment. Minus 5, minus 4, 3 minus 3. -5. Okay, so we'll look at the cross in this front face, and I'll talk through how to do it. So like I said, there's 5 numbers you need to memorise for the 5 turns that you do. So the first 2, M1 and M2, are calculated from 2 other numbers you calculate, and it's based on the edge clocks. So first number I do is the number on the top minus the number on the right, so that'd be 6 minus 4 is 2. The way I usually like to think on it is I look at this one and see how far around I need to go to get to this one, so I see I need to go around 2 clicks to get from there to there, so that would be 2. And just sort of then keep working around, going from there to there, that's another 2, or if you like 12 minus 10 is 2. So those 2 numbers are 2. So the first number you memorise is the sum of those 2. 2 plus 2 is 4. So that's the first number we memorise. And the second one is the opposite of the second number. So opposite of 2 is 10 here, obviously. So the first 2 numbers you need to memorise for this scramble would be 4, 10. The third number, the third and fourth numbers are fairly straightforward. The third number is just going from that clock to there, which is 1. 7 minus 6 is 1. From there to there, yeah, I think is -3 or 9. I usually go with 9, like I went with 10 earlier. So we have 4, 10, 1, 9. And the last number you memorise goes from the fourth number you've memorised to the clock on the right. So the fourth number was 9, so to get to there, that's 7, or -5 if you prefer. So 4, 10, 1, 9, 7. Is it 5 numbers? 4, 10, 1, 9, 7. The fifth number you use first, the other 4 are used in that same order that you memorised them. One last time, 4, 10, 1, 9, 7. So, the last number you memorise gets used here. So, that's just a normal turn for matching up the edges. And on the bottom, we do a 7 on one of the down pins. So, then we just continue with the cross. And then we get to these 2 pins, and this is when we start going through the first 4 numbers, 4, 10, 1, 9. So we do the first of those here, 4, and the usual turn on the up pins, 10, followed by the usual turn, 1, we don't turn the bottom clock here. This is the clock that we started with. We started with this pin up when we did a turn, and this is then the corner that we skip going through. And fourth number was 9. So the front is solved, and unless I've really messed up, the back is also solved. Yay! And so that's how that works. You go through some fairly easy calculations, you get the 5 numbers, you turn it round, and you can then solve the cross on the back while solving the front. You don't have to flip, you don't have to change pins as often, and it's just generally more cool. Now, like I say, I'm not a clock solver. I know clock solvers use various tricks for lucky cases. I don't really understand that, so this method isn't technically fully developed because it would have to take those into account, maybe change things around so it's more ergonomic in terms of what getting turned when and stuff like that. I don't know. I really want someone to take this idea and develop it further and make it work and be fast, and yeah, that's pretty much it. So yeah, hopefully someone does that. There will be some information in the description for reference. And yeah, thanks for listening. Please take up the challenge. This doesn't take long. 2, 5, 6, 2, 3, 6, 5, 2, Okay, another 2. Come on, I can do this. It's only clock. 3. 3, 2, 4, 5, 6, Yeah, I messed up somewhere. Oops. I get the last solve, I'm just keeping it in. I've done almost no practice for this, so yeah. Technically an out of 5, 21. Yeah, for the amount of solves I've done, I'm happy with that. 4 out of 5, I'll take it. Shows it can be done at least. Yeah.